Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, how did they finish Sex and the City? The sequel series, the next chapter, and just like that, finished. The final episode was released, and I'm happy with the ending. I was concerned. I loved the original show. I loved the first film and the second film, but I never really liked Carrie sort of being married off and sort of fitting into that institution. I always, liked that she was this single, independent woman. So when they moved on by ending her relationship with Big and that fairy tale, seeing her again as a single woman worked for me. I really liked it. And I was disappointed when she went back to Aiden, but I didn't think that was going to be permanent. I thought, well, everyone's asking and wondering, since he was the other big sort of relationship that she had, wouldn't they resolve that? And they did. She went back to Aiden. She tried to have a thing with him and it didn't work. And now she's back to being single. So the episode starts off with her going to dinner at a fancy, funky restaurant. And while she's sitting there alone, the waiter brings out a plush mascot for the bar, the club, not club, God, the restaurant. Sorry, I never go to restaurants, only bars and clubs, or used to back when I was alive. And they sit it there so she doesn't have to eat alone, which is apparently a service they provide, but she didn't ask for it. So that was insulting and a reminder that she's now this thing called single, which was something they showed in the original series when, single life, a lot of people look down on women who are single and that. So they deal with that. Some people didn't like the way they dealt with it. They felt like they were saying that she was sad. I don't think they were saying she was sad. They were showing that that's how the world views her. And she just broke up from a relationship. Of course she's going to be sad for it. Even if she's a strong, independent woman, she's still going to have emotions for a failed relationship. So then they go to a runway fashion show for, I think it's bridal wear, or bridal wear comes up in it. And of course they talk about that. And Lisa is struggling because she's been, flirted with by this other guy, and her sort of resolution to the story is she ignores the guy flirting with her and recommits to her husband and appreciates him. The other story was Charlotte, who her Harry has had problems in the bedroom since he's had cancer treatment. Well, they had a Thanksgiving miracle and they're fine, so that was good. And she was saying that she get married again in a heartbeat. So they were validating marriage on one level. And then we have a Thanksgiving dinner, and it's a disaster. Miranda's hosting it. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Now, Charlotte tried to push Victor Garber on Carrie, and she's like, no. The toilet exploded, and there was a lot of drama, and I don't know, a lot of people hated this. They felt it was a waste of time, that they should have been dealing with emotional beats and that, but I guess they didn't want just a big sad sack episode of people just, resolving all their ties, but they probably could have had a longer episode. I think it was only 34 minutes. But yeah, so Seema, she was talking before about she wants this man to marry, she's in love, he doesn't want to commit, and she's like, is this just an institution I'm sort of bending to? Is this real love? Have I to have the right person, the wrong person, blah, blah, blah. And some people said that this conversation should have been like, there should have been all four of them at the bridal shower. They should have been all at like a cafe talking about this, and it seems sort of separated. Now eventually Carrie is talking to the gardener, and he actually reveals that he does see Seema as not a Thursday date, but like a lifetime date. And she realizes that, he is not the Singing Hill gardener they thought he was, and that he is actually a potential partner. So Seema sort of gets that sort of happy ending, but then we go back to Carrie, and I love the way that this ended. She goes back to her apartment alone with some dessert from this party, and she puts on some Barry White, and she just dances alone to herself. She changes the end of her her latest book, saying that the woman realised she wasn't alone. Oh God, what's the quote? I've forgotten it. basically that she basically was with herself. She wasn't alone. She was, you know, that what they stated in the first episode or the first season, that the most important relationship is a relationship with yourself, that she was, with herself basically. I've always liked that, that sort of phrasing. I'm not alone, you're with yourself. So that was just sort of how it ended, with her being single and okay with it, and with, the potential of lots of fun and love and adventures and things in the future, and not having to conform to this idea of getting married and having a kid, and it's okay to be a single woman and a single adult, and to do your own thing. And that was always what Sex and the City was about. So they still validate marriage and relationships and happy endings, but also one of those happy endings is with yourself. So I was fine with it, and I would have liked to have seen another season of her just being herself, and I think that was probably what they planned to do, but they said, let's just end with her going into the future single and free, and not sort of go into that. And I think they could have. It still ended with the same ending, but maybe with a few more adventures, not just this big sort of Aiden bomb that sort of took up so much of the season. I liked season 1 of her just sort of adapting to being single, and the start of season 2, but then she sort of got back with Aiden, so it would have been nice to have gotten another season of her just sort of being a single girl again. But we know that's where it's going. We've seen that before, so I get this is where they end it and why. So I'm ultimately happy with that. And I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the final season. A lot of people are attacking it and attack the show, mostly because they have issues with diversity and so forth. And there were some issues with perhaps too many cast members. They culled it down by 2 towards the end, but it still felt a little bit crowded. Not so much rushed, but a little crowded. And they probably could have spent a bit more time. Like Steve was in the episode. I forgot to mention Steve was in the episode, and Miranda and him were talking about co-parenting and their granddaughter and everything that they're going to have, and that was nice. And they did round everything off. We saw Anthony and his partner sort of dealing with their issues, and everyone sort of got their moment. But I don't know. I don't. Would we really ever be happy with these people sort of ending their story? And aren't we always going to want more? I kind of feel like that. But I'm really going to go this time. Bye.